Under the wide expanse of the Yukon sky, where gold fever ripples through mountain towns and the clang of heavy machinery echoes across frozen rivers, one man stands out above all others. Tony Beets, the cantankerous Dutch-born miner whose larger-than-life personality has fueled Gold Rush's most unforgettable moments, has amassed a fortune that's as vast as the landscape he calls home. But how did a wiry teenager from Texel transform himself into the king of Klondike gold? And beyond the roaring sluice boxes and towering dredges, what does it look like when a modern-day gold baron indulges in life's finer things? In this deep dive, we'll explore Tony's meteoric rise, examine the opulent lifestyle he's crafted from yellow metal, and reveal the private luxuries that lie hidden beneath the rugged exterior of his placer mining empire. Born in 1959 on the small Dutch island of Texel, Anton Beets arrived in Canada as a teenager, eager to build a new life. With little more than a fierce work ethic and an unshakable belief in the value of raw resources, he found work on various mining crews. Back then, Tony slept in insulated tents, chained to the chill of northern nights, and survived on freeze-dried meals and instant coffee. But even in those early years, his sharp instincts for machinery and geology set him apart. When veteran miners skidded heavy equipment across ice-laden creeks, Tony saw opportunities, hidden pay streaks, untested river benches, and the chance to try out daring excavation techniques. At 19, he purchased his first small claim near Dawson City, borrowing funds with no guarantee of repayment. Yet within months, he struck a rich vein and had paid off his debt, with enough gold left over to buy a small bulldozer. From that point on, Tony's trajectory resembled the compound growth curves he later taught on camera. Each summer, he reinvested profits into newer, larger dredges and yarder systems. By the late 1990s, he owned multiple claims across the Klondike region, and local rumor had it that he moved more gold each season than entire rival crews. But it wasn't just the machinery that distinguished Tony, it was his unmatched confidence in the face of perilous conditions. While others retreated when water levels spiked or weather warnings arrived, he'd rig pumps to keep operations running, welding steel liners to reinforce sluice boxes and adapting dredge pontoons to survive jagged ice flows. Observers marveled at his willingness to gamble on engineering solutions, betting six-figure sums on untested seals and custom-fabricated dredge chutes. It wasn't luck that built his fortune, it was a calculated audacity married to technical skill. Once his annual yields began surpassing $2 million, Tony's tastes expanded beyond the mining camp. He reconstructed an abandoned Gold Rush-era riverboat into a floating lounge, complete with mahogany-paneled walls, engraved brass fixtures, and a small bar stocked with aged scotches. During brief respite from the relentless work, he'd invite loyal crew members and visiting celebrities, pop-up guests from high-profile reality shows, to sip single malts under the soft glow of Edison bulb sconces. That floating men's club signaled a shift. Mining was no longer just the pursuit of raw wealth, it was the foundation for a lifestyle so lavish it rivaled any urban penthouse. Back on shore, Tony acquired a riverside mansion outfitted with opulent amenities tailored to his bold personality. The vaulted great room featured a double-sided fireplace hewn from local quartz, while the western wall held a custom gun rack showcasing antique flintlocks and modern rifles, a nod to both his heritage and frontier roots. His kitchen boasted commercial-grade appliances capable of roasting entire caribou, and a secret wine cellar carved into permafrost, where cases of Bordeaux and Napa vintages remained at a constant 55 degrees year-round. Nearby, a detached garage housed a fleet of luxury vehicles, Range Rovers, a blacked-out Hummer H2, and occasionally a gleaming classic Cadillac Eldorado for Sunday cruises along the Klondike Highway. Even Tony's casual attire spoke of unspoken extravagance. Beneath the weathered flannel shirts and insulated jackets, he favored made-to-measure wool trousers and European leather boots, practical for backcountry travel but tailored enough to catch the eye. His wrist often displayed a heavyweight Swiss chronograph, its polished bezel glinting in the snow, an ironic luxury on a man whose creed once was always spend on the drill, not the wristwatch. But as wealth flowed in, Tony learned to appreciate craftsmanship outside of mining tools. Today, that luxury timepiece serves as both statement and status symbol, a reminder that he'd conquered one of the world's toughest environments through sheer grit and earned the right to enjoy life's finer offerings. Yet despite the sprawling estates and vintage automobiles, Tony's heart beats strongest in the mine. Each spring, as ice recedes, he personally oversees dredge assembly, welding pontoons, aligning sluice riffles, and calibrating high-pressure monitors. Watching him stride across rock-strewn gravel in designer gloves, barking orders into a two-way radio, you see how the opulence and the toil converge, how lavish living and relentless work ethic are two sides of the same Klondike coin. In the coming sections, we'll peel back more layers, from the champagne bottles he pops after record-breaking haul days, to the family retreats on tropical islands that follow each season's end. We'll examine the psychology behind his spending, why a man forged in 11 below zero weather celebrates with summer soirees, and how Tony Beets balances the scale between fortune earned and fortune enjoyed. Through it all, one thing becomes clear: in the world of gold mining, where every nugget tells a story, Tony's most compelling tale is written not in ounces of gold, but in the rich tapestry of a life lived large, on his own daring terms. From the moment the drill head pierces the permafrost each spring until the final sluice box shuts down for the season, Tony Beets lives at full throttle, but when he steps off the claim, he inhabits a world of refined extravagance few would imagine emerging from 18-hour Arctic workdays. His riverside compound functions as both trophy and sanctuary, with splashes of luxury woven through every detail. The centerpiece is the private airstrip he carved from the bush 20 miles outside Dawson City. Unlike other miners who rely on chartered flights or bush pilots, Tony owns a twin-engine Cessna that he pilots himself. Sleek aluminum wings gleam under the northern sun, and the cockpit's leather seats, reupholstered in bespoke burgundy suede, hint at his penchant for turning workhorses into flying showpieces. He taxis the plane down the gravel runway, its roaring propellers cutting through the crisp morning air, and lands adjacent to his hangar, a steel-clad cathedral storing not only the Cessna but a Cherokee 6 and a lovingly restored de Havilland Beaver floatplane. Each aircraft bears Tony's signature orange and black stripes, a personal insignia that signals both ownership and pride in conquering the skies as decisively as he conquers gold fields. Inside the hangar, Tony's attention to detail rivals his sluicebox craftsmanship. Tool cabinets line the walls, each drawer labeled in neat script and containing nothing but metric sockets, precision calipers, and aerospace-grade fasteners. But between the wrenches and spares, you'll find unexpected tokens of luxury: a glass-fronted humidor stocked with Cuban Cohiba behike, and a custom minibar carved from reclaimed railway ties, its shelves stocked with crystal decanters of Macallan 25-year and Yamazaki 18-year. On select Sundays, Tony invites his closest confidants to convene under the spill of fluorescent lights, sampling rare single malts and discussing next season's strategic dredge placements. The juxtaposition is stark: rugged machinery resting under the same roof as artisanal cigars and luxury spirits, yet for Tony it's simply the natural equilibrium of sweat and savor. Transitioning from machinery to motors, Tony's garage is another testament to his unorthodox blend of function and flair. He maintains a stable of custom snowmobiles, modified Arctic Cat CTC2 machines with alloy track frames and shock absorbers retuned for high-speed runs across powder fields. Each sled is painted in his signature hues and emblazoned with his initials, turning every winter commute into a private Grand Prix. Yet for the moments when Tony craves true isolation, he slips behind the wheel of his 1971 Chevrolet Camaro RS, a muscle car he imported from the US and painstakingly restored in his shop. V8 rumble fills the yard as he cruises up the frozen river road, gearshifts echoing against pine forests. The car's interior is trimmed in black leather with orange stitching, a subtle allusion to his mining colors, and a modern infotainment system discreetly integrated to maintain period authenticity. On the social side, Tony's entertaining spaces rival those of elite urban magnates. His lakeside guesthouse, perched on stilts above turquoise waters, hosts weekend retreats for investors, television producers, and occasional celebrity visitors. Floor-to-ceiling windows open onto a panoramic view of Yukon's rugged beauty, while inside, plush sectional sofas flank a double-sided fireplace of hand-chiseled Cloyne granite. A long walnut dining table seats 12, beneath a custom chandelier crafted from repurposed sluice rackets and quarry glass. Here, Tony stages elegant black-tie dinners in mid-July, pairing fresh Arctic char with burgundy pinots flown in under expedited channels. Waitstaff, flown up from Vancouver, serve delicate pastries in homage to his early European years, while local fiddlers provide spirited reels between courses. The guesthouses and soot bathrooms boast steam showers and heated slate floors, a stark luxury against the often frigid external temperatures. Even the toiletries hint at extravagance: a curated selection of L'Occitane alpine caviar extracts and hand-poured beeswax candles made from his own apiary on a sheltered bench downstream. Off-property, Tony's philanthropic footprint extends to indigenous scholarship funds and search and rescue equipment donations. Yet the ambience of giving coexists with discreet indulgence. Each autumn, when the last dredge is winterized, he retreats to a private lodge on Vancouver Island. There, Tony trades his insulated canvas jacket for bespoke cashmere sweaters and hunts blacktail deer on coastal slopes. The lodge's great hall, built of Douglas fir beams, displays trophy antlers and maritime artifacts, while the adjoining veranda overlooks a tranquil cove where his 38-foot Nordic tug awaits fishing expeditions. Despite his wealth, Tony maintains an almost monastic routine during these vacations: dawn coffee on the deck, silent driftboat casts at salmon streams, and evenings spent entertaining close friends over fine cigars and rare wines. These retreats recharge him, reinforcing the belief that raw nature and refined living are inseparable for a man whose fortunes emerged from the intersection of grit and vision. Even his private wardrobe tells a story of balanced contrasts. The bulk of his workwear remains heavy-duty, insulated Carhartt bibs, steel-toe boots, and insulated parkas, yet backstage, he keeps racks of high-end designer labels. Think Loro Piana cashmere v-necks, Zegna tailored wool coats, and Santilli Italian leathers. He pairs understated gold cufflinks, engraved with mining pickaxe motifs, with crisp cotton shirts from Milan, merging the world of bespoke tailoring with the primal demands of placer mining. And for his rare public appearances on talk shows or at gala fundraisers, he opts for tuxedos clothed in midnight blue mohair, showcasing a versatility that few reality TV stars manage to negotiate. All these elements, the private airstrip, the custom hangar, the exotic vehicles, the lakeside retreats, the luxury wardrobes, and the philanthropic efforts, coalesce into a portrait of Tony Beets that transcends the stereotypical image of a roughneck miner. He has built a persona as meticulously as he assembles his dredges, a life where extravagance serves both as reward and as proof of conquest. Yet amid these lavish trappings, it's the same unrelenting work ethic and appetite for challenge that define his identity. In the next section, we'll examine how Tony's personal relationships and family dynamics interplay with this grandiose lifestyle, revealing the human bonds that anchor even the most opulent empires. Behind the polished facade of corporate alliances and vintage automobiles, Tony Beets's most cherished treasures reside in the intimate moments shared with his family. From morning breakfasts in his quartz-lined kitchen to late-night planning sessions in his Cessna hangar, family members weave seamlessly through his worlds of extravagance and industry. Lisa, his wife of over 3 decades, moved from Europe to the Yukon long before television cameras captured their lives. She serves as both emotional anchor and logistical coordinator, managing household staff, curating gala invitations, and ensuring that their 4 children receive a balanced upbringing despite the demands of season cycles. Their eldest son, Bram, apprenticed under Tony on the dredge, mastering welds and sluice alignment while learning to manage pressure. Meanwhile, twins Sarah and Nico discovered their passions beyond mining, Sarah as a landscape photographer capturing Yukon sunsets, and Nico as a junior pilot logging hours in the Cherokee 6 alongside his father. Youngest daughter Lila pursues dance, a world apart from sluice boxes, yet Tony attends recitals with the same intensity he applies to sluice calibration. Weekends at the Riverside compound become gathering points where traditions are passed down. Tony insists on Sunday morning crepes, homemade batter whisked by grandkids eager to please Grandpa. These breakfasts contrast sharply with the adrenaline of dredge assembly. One moment you smell maple syrup, the next you hear engine roars as a pump springs to life. Family trips aboard the refurbished riverboat combine these polar experiences. Children practice reels on deck while Tony and his brothers debate hydraulic pressures below. Later, Lisa hosts intimate dinners in the boat's mahogany lounge, serving wild Yukon salmon and presa wines, reminding everyone that gold yields are best celebrated by nurturing familial bonds. Despite his larger-than-life persona, Tony guards his children's privacy fiercely. When the production crew proposes a family episode, he negotiates limitations. Cameras may capture group portraits and children proudly brandishing nugget-embedded coins, but intimate sibling quarrels or late-night fears over seasonal closures remain off-limits. This boundary setting reflects his respect for private values, a contrast to many reality personalities whose family lives become indefinite public property. In doing so, he crafts a clear distinction between the public spectacle and the nurturing spaces that ground him, ensuring that every moment on screen conveys respect, not exploitation. The dynamics with his siblings carry equal weight in Tony's story. His brothers, fluent in the engineering lingo that defines each hydraulic pump and turbine upgrade, co-manage claims and share profits. They challenge Tony's strategies, proposing riskier channels or deeper tailing taps. These spirited debates echo the tensions of any family enterprise, but they culminate every season in a silent ritual, an engraved pickaxe passed in ceremony from one generation to the next. Photographs show Tony standing stoic, hand on father's heirloom handle, while his nephews and nieces circle. That image became emblematic of his ethos, innovation anchored in heritage. It also served on engraved invitation cards sent to mining partners, blending personal pride with professional stability. In quieter moments, Tony cultivates traditions that reflect both opulence and humility. Each winter solstice, he hosts a cocoa and storytelling circle in the Riverside Great Room. Guests huddle around glowing granite hearths as he recounts childhood memories of Texel's flat farmlands and the thunderous roar of the Yukon's spring melt. On these nights, designer tweed jackets are shed for cabin sweaters, and the guesthouse's crystal decanters make way for simple mugs of spiced hot chocolate. Family stories become oral archives, stitching European peasant lore to pioneering frontier anecdotes. These gatherings serve as living contrasts, reminding everyone that beneath the diamond-encrusted reputation, the heart of Tony's empire beats to the rhythm of shared heritage and communal warmth. The Beets household calendar reads like a fusion of mining timetables and elite social schedules. Fundraisers for search and rescue helicopters alternate with dredge maintenance marathons. Children's dance recitals vie with industry galas, and next season's claim evaluations coincide with charitable auctions. Yet Lisa's skillful orchestration ensures each obligation receives its due spotlight. She hosts themed gala luncheons aboard their family airstrip, spotting philanthropic guests at the tail of the Cessna. Visitors marvel as they descend onto gravel runways, welcomed by staff serving caviar canapes and golden brown mini blinis, an unexpected taste of urban sophistication transplanted into the wilderness. These orchestrations underscore Tony's signature interplay between rugged achievement and cultivated indulgence. Family vacations offer yet another dimension to Beets's luxurious tapestry. After each dredging season, they retreat to sun-drenched villas with marble floors and infinity pools replacing permafrost and sluice beds. Dawn sees children swimming while Tony practices Taoist Tai Chi on terraces overlooking the sea. Conversations inevitably return to sluice efficiencies, proof that work and relaxation intertwine seamlessly together. In those sun-drenched villas, the Beets family embraces a contrasting rhythm to the Yukon's relentless demands. Imagine a Mediterranean estate perched on a cliff, vines creeping across terracotta walls, and the scent of jasmine drifting on warm sea breezes. Here, Thursday afternoons find Sarah capturing sunrise hues on her lens while Bram scouts local olive groves for rare varietals worthy of Tony's experimental infused oils. Nico teaches local waters round the property's infinity pool, demonstrating the fine control he learned piloting his beechcraft over frozen rivers, while Lila's dance troupe stages impromptu performances on a marble-tiled terrace. Even Tony, whose trademark silhouette is usually outlined against metal sluice boxes, removes his leather work gloves in favor of linen sleeves and spends mornings sampling local prosciuttos and discussing microclimates that affect grape tannins. These retreats reinforce a lesson he imparts often: life's richest harvests spring from worlds beyond one's primary field, whether that's gold mining or growing grapes. One evening, Tony arranges a sunset yacht expedition along the coastline. The 75-foot motor yacht, named Golden Horizon, is a far cry from the steel dredges of Yukon rivers. Polished teak decks gleam as champagne flutes clink beneath Art Deco lanterns. The family drifts through hidden coves, disembarking on secluded beaches where crustaceans roast over open fires and toasted toasts honor the day's bounty. Between laughter and salt-kissed breezes, Tony speaks of unlocking new claims and of the next dredge prototype, reminding everyone that, for him, adventure and enterprise interweave seamlessly. Yet for all the extravagance, the Beets clan's philanthropic endeavors remain grounded in the terrain that built their fortune. Each summer, Tony hosts Gold for Good, a charitable gala atop his riverside bluff overlooking the Yukon River. Crystal chandeliers hang from canvas tents, and tables draped in white linen host dignitaries, local indigenous leaders, and mining regulators. Live auctions feature bespoke items: a miniature replica dredge carved from driftwood by local artisans, a dinner under the northern lights catered by Michelin-trained chefs, and personalized flight lessons with Tony in his Cessna. Proceeds fund scholarships for indigenous youth entering engineering and aviation programs, search and rescue helicopter maintenance, and climate research on permafrost melt. The gala's after-party unfolds on board the refurbished riverboat, where polished brass fixtures reflect smiles illuminated by flickering candlelight. Rather than ostentation, Tony frames these gatherings as acts of stewardship and acknowledgement that fortune carries responsibility toward community and environment alike. Winter brings a different form of generosity. When temperatures plunge below -40 degrees Fahrenheit, Tony's compound transforms into a relief hub. He contracts semi-trucks laden with insulated clothing, high-calorie rations, and portable generators, then dispatches his own team to remote cabin communities whose supply lines are often severed by ice storms. He coordinates with local counselors and search and rescue teams, leveraging his private fleet of beaver floatplanes to reach isolated homesteads. Images of Tony distributing kerosene heaters or handing out care packages circulate widely, reframing his public image from a hard-headed prospector to a benevolent guardian of the North. Social media reaction highlights the stark contrast. The same hands that weld sluice boxes now warm families in need, delivering sustenance where government aid sometimes arrives too late. Beyond high-profile events, the Beets family sustains quieter traditions of giving. Each harvest season, they host community dredge days, inviting local youth to tour active claims under supervision. Helmets donned, teenagers learn how sluice riffles capture gold, and listen as Bram explains slurry dynamics with the enthusiasm of a professor. At day's end, Tony awards each participant a small nugget set in a keychain, a tangible memento of ambition and possibility. By demystifying his trade, he ignites curiosity and plants seeds for the next generation of engineers, geologists, and pilots who might one day surpass even his own achievements. These philanthropic ventures serve dual purposes. They invigorate Tony's personal mission and reinforce the narrative he and Lisa craft for the world. Through calculated generosity, he bridges the divide between the ultra-wealthy and the frontier spirit from which he emerged. No mere PR stunt, these acts spring from a deeply held conviction that success is measured not just in ounces of gold but in lives uplifted and traditions preserved. As the seasons cycle once more, Tony balances these charitable commitments with rigorous preparations for the next gold season. Winter solstice storytelling gives way to dredge schematics and equipment blueprints, as work gloves return to hands that weeks ago steered him across infinity pools. In spring, when ice releases its chokehold on riverbeds, both dredges and charity campaigns kick into overdrive, each reflecting the dual legacy Tony Beets embodies: a titan of placer mining and a steward of communities, intertwining opulence with obligation. Through these private luxuries, family bonds, and benevolent outreach, Tony has constructed an empire that transcends the glitter of gold alone. He demonstrates that true wealth is multifaceted, comprising the roar of engines, the hush of knowing smiles, and the echo of lives transformed. In the final section, we will examine how Tony's public persona, shaped by gold rush camera angles and edited highlights, both mirrors and diverges from this layered reality, exploring the tension between televised mythology and lived experience. While Tony's public image often centers on massive dredges thundering through frozen riverbeds, those who know him best say that his true strength lies in the private world he builds around family, tradition, and quiet generosity. Behind the forged metal facade of heavy machinery and custom garrets exists a partnership with Lisa Beets that outlasts TV contracts and mining seasons. Lisa arrived on Texel shores only as a child, yet she mastered the Yukoner's rhythm decades before cameras ever rolled, making their union a seamless blend of European poise and northern grit. As Tony's confidant, she manages the household's intricate tapestry, overseeing staff schedules, reviewing press materials to ensure the family's dignity, and curating social invitations that reflect both his stature and their shared values. In every gala tent and riverside retreat, Lisa's touch ensures that impressions mirror intentions, sophistication grounded in authenticity, and opulence tempered by purpose. Sunday mornings find the entire Beets clan gathering in the quartz-lined kitchen, where tradition dictates that Tony flips the first dozen crepes, Bram and Sarah arrange fresh berries, and Lila reads aloud from the family journal. Children scamper underfoot, their laughter harmonizing with the soft hum of underfloor heating, a stark contrast to the roar of engines that usually dominates Tony's days. From these simple moments, he draws strength for the grueling work ahead. Yet he remains astutely protective of their privacy. When the production team seeks footage of bedtime rituals or heated sibling debates, Lisa negotiates clear boundaries. Cameras may capture group portraits framed by frost-coated windows, but not private conversations or tears shed over dredge delays. In this respect, Tony balances reality TV exposure with genuine stewardship, preserving the sanctity of family life even as he leverages celebrity status to amplify charitable campaigns and branding initiatives. Tony's siblings play a parallel role in the empire's beating heart. Each spring, he convenes a discreet summit in the hangar. Welders and hydraulic engineers sit alongside brothers who challenge his sluice protocols, debating tailings retention versus paystreak yield. These discussions, though spirited, culminate in a ritual passing of the engraved pickaxe, handed down from patriarch to the next generation. Photographs of that moment, Tony extending the heirloom under fluorescent lights, became an emblem of continuity, used on branded letterheads and gala invitations alike. Yet away from cameras, brothers carve out quiet projects, modifying sluice liner angles or testing new dredge motor bearings in the hangar's back bay. These engineering experiments are woven into family lore, ensuring that every gold-yielding innovation carries the imprint of collective effort rather than solitary triumph. Philanthropy constitutes another dimension of the Beets household's private compass. Each summer's Gold for Good gala attracts dignitaries, tribal leaders, and government officials, but behind the formal auctions and crystal chandeliers lies months of grassroots planning. Lisa and Tony review grant applications by candlelight, evaluating scholarship candidates for aviation and engineering degrees. They personally inspect permafrost research proposals, ensuring that funds support projects aligned with environmental stewardship. In winter, semi-trucks bearing relief supplies head to remote cabins, a campaign orchestrated from the hangar's command desk. While TV cameras spotlight the spectacle of hot meals delivered by floatplane, it's the unfilmed few hours of crate unloading and village outreach that define the Beets' legacy. These acts of service blur the line between lavish generosity and sullen responsibility, reflecting a conviction that wealth's truest purpose is community uplift. The juxtaposition of private rituals and televised spectacle reveals an intriguing tension. On screen, viewers see Tony issuing terse orders and brandishing hydraulic wrenches like ceremonial scepters. Off camera, they witness him patting Sarah's shoulder after a summer gallery show, or listening intently as Bram outlines a new tailings management plan. These softer moments seldom make the broadcast edit but shape his personal brand far more enduringly. The credibility earned by visible hands-on work welding sluice gates at -30 degrees Fahrenheit fuels public fascination, yet the real currency of trust lies in the unseen hours devoted to mentoring family and fortifying community ties. By controlling the narrative around these private interactions, Lisa and Tony effectively calibrate their media presence, ensuring that headlines capture both the roar of engines and the hush of family devotion. As the calendar flips each autumn, the Beets compound shifts focus from philanthropic summits to dredge winterization. Winter solstice storytelling retreats yield to frost-lined blueprints, as Tony and his frontier cadre draft next season's schematics under low-wattage industrial lamps. Yet even in these lean months of planning and welding, the echoes of family remain palpable. Bram fine-tunes sluice riffles while Sarah studies topographical surveys for new claims on her laptop. Lila's dance rehearsals double as ergonomic case studies of balance and form, concepts Tony applies to sluice bed angles. These cross-disciplinary exchanges are unseen by most fans, but they ensure that technical innovations emerge from collective creativity rather than solitary genius. The result is an enterprise where every glittering gold nugget carries the imprint of shared vision and multi-generational expertise. These private dimensions of Tony Beets' life, his partnership with Lisa, the nurturing routines with children, the technical camaraderie with siblings, and the unsung acts of philanthropy anchor an empire that could easily drift into mere spectacle. By weaving family bonds and community commitment into every facet of his opulent lifestyle, Tony preserves a core authenticity that cameras alone cannot manufacture. In the next section, we will explore how his televised persona aligns with this layered reality, dissecting the selective storytelling choices of Gold Rush editors and the symbiotic dance between mythmaking and lived experience. While Gold Rush frames Tony Beets as a gruff, almost mythic mining baron wielding hydraulic wrenches like scepters and barking terse orders into a radio, it carefully edits out the nuances that make him both relatable and profoundly human. Cameras capture his booming voice as dredges churn icy rivers, but nearly every generous dinner with Lisa, every hushed family storytelling circle by the granite hearth, and every tender moment of mentorship with Bram or Sarah simply vanishes in the cut. This stark contrast between what viewers see on screen and what actually transpires behind the scenes defines the duality of Tony's public persona versus his lived reality. The producers of Gold Rush craft a focused narrative arc built on high-stakes engineering challenges and explosive machinery failures, elements designed to spike ratings while relegating softer, relationship-driven scenes to the editing room floor. In the crafting of each episode, conflict is amplified. Producers choose camera angles that accentuate Tony's furrowed brow, his clipped responses, and his unyielding expectations. When disagreements arise in planning sessions, the most dramatic lines make the cut, creating a portrayal of him as an almost ruthless taskmaster. Yet these scenes are interwoven from hours of footage, selectively framed to heighten friction. Conversely, moments of compromise, where Tony listens attentively to a child's photography project or quietly encourages a frail community elder, are trimmed for time. This deliberate editorial process constructs a public narrative that leans heavily on tension, mechanical spectacle, and a singular, commanding presence. The edited persona extends beyond interpersonal dynamics into the very depiction of risk and reward. A scene showing Tony triumphantly hauling in a record-breaking gold yield will routinely segue into a cameo of celebratory Scotch pours, as if wealth flows ever downward without the painstaking hours of winterized dredge maintenance, endless stakeholder negotiations, or the emotional toll of seasonal uncertainty. Viewers may never see the late-night strategy calls with indigenous leaders, the meticulous safety audits he insists upon, or the private vows he exchanges with Lisa to safeguard family privacy. By broadcasting only a fraction of these decisions, Gold Rush cements a simplified vision: Tony Beets, the unstoppable force. Yet even mythic figures rely on authenticity for credibility. Behind the cameras, Tony and Lisa exercise a subtle form of narrative control by granting or withholding access to specific scenes. They invite film crews into dredge summits, equipment tests, and gala fundraisers, but firmly deny access to personal family events and business negotiations that might undermine the dramatic tension or expose private vulnerabilities. This calibrated openness ensures that the show retains its edge, full of mechanical suspense and rugged determination, while still allowing glimpses of Tony's deeper commitments, his stewardship of community scholarships, his fierce protection of family privacy, and his personal struggles with injury or equipment failure that don't fit neatly into an episodic climax. The tension between myth and reality becomes a strategic asset. On one hand, the by-the-book editing generates the kind of visceral TV that commands viewership and drives sponsorship revenue. On the other, Tony's off-camera generosity and hands-on mentoring fuel the goodwill that transforms viewers into lifelong fans. Those who learn of his winter relief efforts or his open critique of environmental policies often become brand ambassadors, sharing content that extends far beyond the confines of the show's narrative. In effect, the broadcast persona and the private benefactor create a dual engine: one sustains short-term attention, the other builds enduring loyalty. This symbiosis of televised mythology and lived authenticity also influences Tony's commercial engagements. When he launches a limited edition merch line, be it a co-branded toolkit or a commemorative gold pan, it leverages the on-screen image of him as an uncompromising engineer. Yet the real appeal lies in the unscripted reviews and demonstrations he posts on his private social channels, where he unboxes prototypes with family members, candidly tests products in the shop, and solicits direct feedback. Fans who discover these unfiltered testimonials often regard them as more trustworthy than the slick promotional segments woven into Gold Rush. Ultimately, the selective storytelling choices of Gold Rush editors craft a powerful, if partial, myth, a timeless pioneer battling elemental forces and human obstacles alike. But the deepest resonance arises when audiences bridge the gap between that myth and the private reality Tony has carefully curated. They witness a man who welds sluice skates at dawn and then quietly guides his daughter through dance recitals by dusk, a leader who negotiates major equipment leases and later negotiates scholarship terms for aspiring engineers, a celebrity who commands the screen and yet treasures untelevised moments of family warmth. This layered tapestry, equal parts drama, depth, spectacle, and sincerity, reveals why Tony Beets remains one of reality television's most compelling figures.